Hello everyone and welcome back to another preview video for the patch coming with the Nemesis 5 coming at the 6th of January. So things still might change until then, as Eugen still has a couple of days in office until then, but most of these will get the way we have them now. This patch is not a massive one, but rather a patch to keep up with the current pace of Eugen of around one patch per month. And this one will bring a new trait, will bring one new unit, will bring a good couple of balance changes to change the meta up a bit, and then not coming with the artillery rework or anything major like that. Those things will come later in Q1 2026 most likely, maybe even a bit later. We'll see how all of that develops, but yeah, artillery rework is in testing, just not in this patch here though. And the new trait is the instructor trait that we got hinted at with Nemesis 6.3, as Nemesis 6.3 didn't receive the votes. We instead get a new testbed for this trait, and this new testbed are the Chieftain Mark 1-4 and the Green Beret coming in as a tank and an infantry variant of the instructor. And the instructor is basically a mix of military police and the leader trait. So it gives +1 veterancy to all units of its type. So a tank leader gives it +1 to all other tanks. Infantry leader gives +1 veterancy to all other infantry units. And the same goes with the removal of the reservists. They also only affect their own category. So removing reservists trait from other infantry or other tanks with these guys, they don't capture points. But they give the +1 of the leader, they give the reservist removal from the military police, they don't give the stress recovery buff of the military police either, so they're a bit weaker than either in the specific category, but a nice little mix of both, plus coming with good availability here. And the Green Berets, with the 60 points now, are pretty cost efficient. Maybe have to go up 5 points, though I feel like they were a bit cost inefficient before, but with Heimatjägers together now, these will rock. Like, this is the perfect combination, Green Berets plus the Heimatjäger and TKS. And Chieftain Mark 1-4 was already pretty good beforehand, and I believe is now a really fantastic tank, so we'll see how this goes. Maybe some availability changes, maybe some price changes will have to be done, but that's what this is all for. That's why it's only implemented with 2 units for now, because Eugen wants to figure out how good this trade is and how much it has to be compensated for in price and availability. So this is the first part. Then we also have some fixes and bug improvements. Most importantly, in my eyes, is that if you now select multiple artillery units and load them and move them around, this works now again properly. Before, there were sometimes issues that some of the commands didn't go through, and now all of those commands get registered and function. So moving towed artillery around with pre-setup commands is a lot easier now again. So managing towed artillery should be more reliable again. And then there are a couple of improvements to plane behavior on dropping bombs and so on, and more things should register there as well, and there should be fewer issues with planes registering some of their commands as well, and their drop patterns changing for the bombs. So those are the crash fixes, bug fixes, and so on. There are a couple of those kind of ones, nothing super major, but nice ones nonetheless. And then we have 2 important changes to infantry weapons. First is that the support MGs, the 7.62mm MGs of all nations, now have only 15 points of suppression, like the weapons in infantry teams. And same goes for vehicle-mounted 7.6mm MGs that had 20 suppression for some of them before. All of them now are at 15. So their suppression damage has been reduced by 25% basically. And their suppression was really, really high. And that's why they were super meta right now with their 4 hit points and the high suppression. You saw them around, even pushing around against infantry. And that should change now. You should now want to fight outside of enemy infantry range and at least start the engagement at that range, so that you have some time to build up the suppression there, and you should not win 1v1 duels at medium range against infantry squads anymore with your own MG squad. So they are still really cost efficient. but they are not as busted as they had been in the last patch, and we'll see how much that affects the pick rate and how many of these we'll see around. I hope we see fewer of them just trying to push forward as infantry teams, because that's obviously not quite the role they're supposed to fill. Then, second one is recoilless rifles, all but the Czechoslovaks, which already had really good stats, got up to 40% base accuracy. For some it says 39, it is 40. And yeah, here you see that already has veterancy, so that's why it's 45. But all of them have base accuracy of 40 now, which was at 35 before. So SPGs all across the board should be a good bit more reliable now, as that also affects how veterancy works and so on. And it should really help out these guys to be a good bit better again. And we'll see if that is enough to bring recoilless rifles back into the play. And maybe we'll see some more usage of the vehicles with recoilless rifles. It's for sure a nice buff to a unit section that hasn't been used much at all lately. So yeah, all the recoilless rifle teams went up in accuracy. The ones that are embedded in infantry teams, like for the American ones, for example, those didn't get changed. So this is the two major things for the generic stuff. Let's get to the nations, and let's start as per usual with the US. And there we start with an important availability change, as the M1IP now comes at 5.3.2 availability. So same as, for example, Challenger Mark II and a good couple of Soviet tanks like the T-64s. So the M1IP now really a lot better per card, and it already got price buff before, so the M1IP now is a really good tank in my eyes, and especially 24th profits with it with its 3 cards, but both Berlin Command and it's 101st with their 1 and 2 cards respectively also profiting quite a bit. And yeah, 101st also should be a good powerhouse now, and 34th absolutely back with this in my eyes. Like, they already got a couple of changes beforehand, and this one is what brings them back fully. Plus, they also got another buff next to this, as National Guard Infantry, they use a rifle that is the M16A1, which is different to the M60A3 that other US infantry use, and they had different stats for it beforehand than other assault rifles. They had 5% less accuracy. Now the base accuracy is at 35. Obviously, with National Guard Reservist trait, it goes down to 30. But before it went down to 25, so 10% lower than other infantry. And that reduced the firepower of National Guard infantry by a good bit. There is a counterpart with the East Germans and the Rügener Marine Infantry. All of those had a specific AK as well that also had these lower stats. And as 1.0 is not really making those differences between the different models of rifles at the moment, having just the odd ones out here, and just because also the price didn't really respect that, that just left the National Guard infantry a good bit less efficient. This should increase their efficiency by a good bit, and that means that 24th gets a buff here, 35th gets a solid buff out of this as well, so that should help out a good bit to make them more efficient. And we have a couple of other buffs to 35th as well, so let's have a look into that division. 35th, the M113 National Guard now costing 15 points. So this is a massive buff. This division now getting a really significant change here, so that should help them out a good bit. M60 A1 ACAF here, 5.3 availability with 1 vet, but yeah, the National Guard M113 A1 really solid, and all the recoilless rifles teams that they have getting up in like, for example, the ACAF here for, getting a accuracy buff and so on, like all of that should help out this division quite a bit, and I believe this division now is in a pretty decent spot in round C tier. Maybe we could even see them pushing a bit higher than this, but yeah, this is the changes to this division here. And military police patrol now at 9 base availability. So that helps out this division as well, especially as you get more Humvees, MPs with this as well. So yeah, this could be now worthwhile taking in a division like this as well. That's a change for all these military police patrol units over all the American divisions. 24th also got a slight buff to its tank tab. One of the 3 cost slots in the tank tab went down to a 2 cost slot, so you have one more 2 cost slot here. That's why I ended up here currently at 49 instead of the 50 points that I had before here. So you can maybe tinker around with your decks and figure out how to use that extra availability point to get something useful out of this. That's a nice little buff there as well. And yeah, 35th also gets National Guard Dragons, right, for the Law Infantry here. That now has the M113A1 Dragon as a transport option as well. And so does the leader here, also getting an M113A1 Dragon. So really solid little buffs here. And what first, that we already talked about with getting the buffs of the M1IP, got another little unit. And that is the XM477 Slammer. With a couple of Hydra pods here, just tinkered together. And 114 of them coming out. You get half of them per salvo, so it fires half of them per salvo, and you fire at 7,000 meter range. It's a pretty decent rocket launcher, as you fire so many rockets. Even though they're relatively small rockets, they still deal a decent amount of damage. Issue is really the range, but if you micro this well, this can be pretty nice. And as one of first wants to fight around towns, like getting some extra firepower into those towns, the 155mm artillery piece already pretty good at it, but getting some artillery here that can help out, and getting 2 availability out of this makes this quite nice. It's also something that you can transport with air, so your Chinook transport here could come around and lift this around if you want to get it out fast. So nice little improvement here to the one of first coming around as well. That brings us to the United Kingdom. And in the United Kingdom, we start with a tank price reduction. And that is for the Chieftain Mark 6 II. So another Chieftain getting a price buff. Only 5 points for this one, but going from 100 to 95 points. And making the opener of 4th Armored a good bit more efficient here once more. Chieftain Mark 9 and Chieftain Mark 11 at a pretty decent spot already. Now the Chieftain Mark 6 is in a good spot as well, and that should help out for a bit with their opener once more as well. So this is the major one of the changes here. And then an air unit of the British that is not in the British division though got nerfed. 2nd Panzer Grenadier, the Harrier GR3, got nerfed by 20 points. This can delete tanks with 1 run, so it was really a great tool to just slip in cheaply whenever you knew the enemy didn't have AA, because you just killed it or you just figured it out and you just like killed their most expensive units. And with 2nd Panzer Grenadier already having so many tools all around, having such a small little tool that can remove the best enemy unit coming in quickly and cheaply was just a bit too good. It's still relatively affordable, like you can kill a lot of 200 point tanks with this efficiently, and it still has decent speed and ECM, but it now is a bit more expensive here. So 185 points for the Harrier HE2. And yeah, those are the main changes here to this. The military patrol in Berlin Command obviously going up, and their M1IP going up and so on. And their light rifles in Berlin Command also got M113A3 and Dragon transports. So the Berlin Command coming around. And the light rifles here, the American infantry that is, with M113A3 and M113A3 Dragon as transport options, giving you potential for a bit more fire support for Berlin Command. So this division might crawl up here now into a decent spot in C tier with all of these changes again. It got a good couple of buffs lately, so it's for sure out of D tier for a bit now. But yeah, I don't believe it's amazing division right now anyways. And then the West Germans. The West Germans first of all, 2nd Panzer Grenadier got 2 nerfs. One of its tank taps went from a 1-point cost slot to a 2-point cost slot, so it was 1-1-1-2-3-3-3. Now it's 1-1-2-2-3-3-3, and the same happened in the anti-air tab, where it also had 3-1 cost slot, then a 2 cost slot, then 3 cost slot, and now it's 1-1-2-2-3-3-3. So 2 more points basically that you have to spend for the normal setup and that you don't have elsewhere. So likely 1 car of units that you have to take out of your 2nd Panzer Grenadier decks. And that's an interesting little nerf, together with the Harrier nerf that likely is going to still be a top deck division, but not quite as simple and all encompassing of a deck. So maybe it's enough to get them out of S tier, we'll have to see. Still a really good division, like for sure nowhere will still be like at least top 8 here, but we'll see how this all goes. And then a division that got a buff is the 1st Luftlande. And then we will see if this is enough of a buff. Likely not quite. When we looked at the tier list, I said we would need 2 buffs. This is 1 buff, and this is a really good buff. And this is Aufklärungs Leopard 185 going up to 1 base availability. And that makes these a lot more efficient in the combat. Getting 3 of them at 1 vet. Yeah, you can also get 2 of them at 2 vet if you want. That is a really viable option as well. But yeah, getting all 3 of them at 1 vet now is a really good improvement to the early combat strength of this division. And this division is all about the early combat strength. So Leopard 185 here going up in efficiency in that opener is really nice. And it's your only long-range tank, so having 1 more of them is a big change to this division. And the Recon Leopard 185 in general, a really fantastic little vehicle. So Luftlande, really nice buff. As I said, I don't quite believe it's enough to make this division really meta. I feel like it would need 1 more infantry buff, or the easy way out, basically, in my eyes, would be a Stinger card here, the German Stinger card. But like, yeah, there are decent enough justifications to maybe put that in there if it's really needed. I feel like a different way of buffing this division and leaving the AA as the weak spot, it would be fine to me. Okay, but yeah, that's the West Germans here coming around. Then we come to the French, and there we have a change that I forgot with the Americans as well. As the Americans have a recon plane as well, and for the French it's the Magister. That also comes with the Belgians. All those airplane 7.5mm or 7.6mm MGs went to 1,500 meter range. So the American A37, I believe it is. Yeah, or A37 or A37. The Gao gun here, now 1,500 meter range as well. That means that it actually can do strafing runs of these things. This plane, by the way, really interesting with the smoke rockets. That's something that a lot of people, I believe, miss in 35th, because also 35th isn't being played much, but using the smoke rockets can be really helpful. And you can still get a couple of hydro rockets on some enemy units as well. Really nice little unit. But yeah, the Gao gun actually now can shoot up things a bit as well, because it has now a decent range to actually do strafing runs. It's not great, it's still a 7.6mm MG, but yeah, that's the slight change here to the French. Outside of that, that's basically it. Outside of all the MG changes and recoilless rifle changes that the French get as well, obviously. Netherlands, same thing. Canada got 1 small buff, and that is to the motorized Carl Gustav rifles. Motorized rifles with Carl Gustav. They now come at the same availability as the normal motorized rifle with the law. So at 9.6.4 here, instead of at the same as the Erics at H5.3. So you get 1 more of these, and that means that you kind of always take it over the normal mod rifles, because they're the same price point, so you always take this card now. Yeah, that's... maybe it has to go to 35 points, maybe not. We'll see. Well, you have the extra MG here, so yeah, it kind of makes sense that they're at the same price. You trade MG for better AT, but yeah, having the better availability now is really nice, and I feel like you always take this now, but that's just my POV here. And then we come to the Spanish, and the Spanish get some slight buffs as well. The Spanish brunette division that is. First of all, their Recon AMX-30s now come with base VED 1 as well. And that is really good. And I feel like that is what solidifies this unit, this division now over the French 5th Blindé in my eyes as the better AMX-30 division. As these guys already were pretty good, but you usually only got 2 of them because you took them at 1 VED. Now you get 4 of them at 1 VED. And the good penetration here really makes them really nice in the opener. And with all the other stuff that this division here gets, it's in a pretty good spot. Another unit that got buffed is the M108, but you're not going to take this next to MR10s and the Tyrell anyways, so this is not really a buff that changes much. It's in the other Spanish division as well, and it now comes at 4 base availability without reference options. Yeah, you could take it. You have 4 cards of this, so if you want to go 16 small guns for the memes, you can do that now with the Spanish in team games. Yeah, good meme potential there, but outside of that, M108 here with the 10 kilometers range, not really a great little piece of equipment. That brings us to the Pact part of things, and there we have a completely insignificant change that we can combine with a pretty significant change, as we have the MiG-25 coming around faster now. This now went up from 925 to 1200 kmh of speed, which makes sense on lower altitude, as yeah, it shouldn't be the fastest on lowest altitude, but it is one of the fastest planes on high altitude. Like that's the whole thing of the MiG-25 as an interceptor. But the MiG-25 now also comes in with 1200 kmh. The FAB 500 in all its iterations lost 10 suppression, so that's the small change that doesn't really change anything. 660 to 650, really next to never. This is going to be this will play a role. Sometimes maybe it just is going to be the difference between 2 cohesion levels for the enemy, and then maybe that affects the stats, and then you maybe win the fight because of it, but not something that you will really feel on the battlefield. And I believe just like something that was different to other 500 kilogram bombs, so that now is all ironed out. And yeah, the MiG-25s both being fast, that helps out KDA and 35th. Like, this is a really good bomber now, with 8 bombs dropping from up high quickly on a fast plane with good ECM. The MiG-25's gonna be good. Seaplane now coming in a good bit faster as well. So yeah, that's the first little change here. And then we have the Motostrelki Medis that we have in 27th and in 39th. Just different skins on these units, but out of that same unit. They now have base strength of 8 instead of 7, because they're not in an BMP2, so they are coming out in the BTRs, and that's the same as the normal Motostrelki, which are 8 availability here, so they are just being brought up on par with those guys now. So having them at 8 is quite nice. Motostrelki Medis now in a pretty good spot. No price change here, so this is a really nice combat squad with those 80 gems now, and helping out 2 divisions that are already on the way back into the meta. Currently it just feels like all the old school divisions coming back here. KDA getting some buffs, 27th getting some buff, 79th and 2nd Panzer Grenadier already up there again, so really can't say Eugen is power creeping with DLCs, because the base game divisions are getting some good old love. Some older divisions that have been around for a while now, like 101st, getting some love as well. So yeah, this is a nice little patch. Yeah, then we have a couple of other price changes coming around as well. The Mod Rajvetka going down in the Mod Rajvetka going down in price from 50 to 45, but in return the Rajvetka BMP that they come in, the BMP 1, going up 5 points, because this is one with smoke. So the base BMP with smoke costs 40 points, so the Recon one 5 points more, 45 points. And yeah, the BMP 2 one now 5 points cheaper again though. So you get the package with the Mod Rajvetka again for 140 points instead of 145. So that will help out 79th here, small buff to 79th. Yay. And 27th, 25th, 119th, all pretty good divisions already. So the Mod Rajvetka there yeah, getting some love, and BMP 1P in a lot of divisions here. But there the price doesn't change if you take them at this, so that's a solid option as well. And then the BTR, the Recon BTR 60 PB in 56 goes down to 35 points, 5 points more than its non-recon option, so 56 here, getting a slightly cheaper recon option with transport combination here as well with these. So as you have the BMP2 there in that division as well, we'll see how much we will see this guy. So it is an option now. And another change to all things. Oh yeah, and then the Rastreshka Saperi also going down 50 points. 5 points from 55 to 50 points. So Rastreshka Saperi in 27 and all the other Soviet divisions here going down slightly as well. As they are the same as these guys, Sapeji, Svetochi, so those were 50 points already before. So yeah, the opener of Soviet recon divisions in general getting some solid little buffs here that will change up things a good bit. And Strela ones in the AA, the wheeled ones that you have in 4th and 7th for the East Germans, and then also in 17th, 39th, 35th, 76. That goes up 5 points, but the reason is it gets double the base ammo. So it has 1 reload with it. It goes up from 4 just in the launcher to 8 carried around with it. So it can reload once itself and doesn't always have to be moved around with a resupply unit or constantly microed back. And it is a pretty good helicopter hunter, as it is super fast and can just like kind of roll down on them. And the Strela missile is pretty decent at dealing with helicopters. It's not the most amazing anti-aircraft, but over time will get some hits there as well, as it at least has decent range against aircraft. Not great, but decent range there. So this is a nice little change here as well. And then 35th and 76, when we already had them, get a little buff as well to their availability of a key unit. The Dezhaniki BMD now, instead of 6.4 availability, comes at 8.5 availability. So 35th and 76 in a pretty good spot here. So yeah, this is a pretty solid patch for Soviet divisions in general. Quite a lot of love for them here, especially Recon, and then here the 35th and 76, both divisions that have been good bit away from the meta currently, like a good far bit away from the meta. Like, people still are traumatized by 35th and 76's past, but they are currently really bad. So Dezhaniki BMD getting buffed up is making sense to, especially as the BMD2 currently is a pretty mediocre little tool. Like, getting them up here to 8.5 makes sense. And that brings us to the East Germans, where we already talked about the changes to Rügener's infantry, the Marine infantry in Rügener, with the MPI KMS 72 now comes at 35% base accuracy as well, instead of 30. So that impacts a couple of Krenzer units and so on as well. So Berliner Gruppierung there getting a bit of love as well. KDA Schützen 2 and Reservisten. So actually a good couple of East German, like, second line units getting some extra damage out of this. Might be the thing that pushes KDA back into decent spot as well. We'll see how that all plays out. Obviously all the SPG9 changes too coming around. Their Mod Aufklärer going down from 50 to 45 points as well. So the Mod Aufklärer that can come around, well, where is it? Mod Aufklärer here goes from 50 to 45 points, same as the Soviet counterpart, the Mod Razvedka. So solid little thing here as well. And then we have a small little buff to the Berliner Gruppierung, and that little buff is not going to bring this division really back, but at least is going to help their opener, which is one of the most impactful things, as Wachaufklärer and Mod Krenzer now both get an armored heavy MG vehicle with the SPW PSH. It's not a recon variant, it's just a normal variant. Maybe we can create a recon variant as well for 35 points, but currently it's just the normal SPW PSH that we already have for other units as transport. But that means now they have a KPVT, PKT, double MG transport here that can help out, dealing out some damage in the opener and dealing with other infantry units. So significant little change there as well. And yep, this helps them out a bit. And that's basically it here. And then also, one thing is the recon BMP of these Germans and the Czechoslovaks and the BMP-1 without smoke. That now is only 5 more points expensive than the normal BMP-1 in those divisions as well. So this one goes down 5 points as well. So the mod Aufklärer in the East Germans now getting 10 points cheaper basically. So 7th Armored now is eating good with BMP-1 opener recon for 10 points cheaper. Like, yeah, I'm a bit worried about these changes as they make forward deploy divisions even a bit weaker, because like the combat power of recon units in the Pact side just gets a good bit stronger with this patch, with all their main normal recon infantry getting 5 points cheaper and some of the vehicles getting 5 points cheaper as well. And yeah, but in total it makes kind of sense if you compare them to other units. So yeah, I'm a bit ambivalent about these changes, but yeah, the recon BMP-1 here going down 235 points across the board, and that's kind of it here. So yeah, good little changes. As I said, not the most amazing patch here, but a nice little patch for a January change. Will change up the meta a bit with the MG changes. SPG changes will be nice. M1IP means that a good couple of American divisions are coming back. 2nd Panzer Grenadier getting nerfed a bit is nice as well. 35th getting buffed. All the KDA and Reservisten division of the East Germans getting buffed a bit with those MG changes and so on. All of this is nice. The instructor changes trait is a nice thing as well. A new unit to 101st and so on. We'll see how this goes. It's gonna be nice. League Season 6 coming around in January as well, so... And we will also get a new map pool with this patch. So all of this should be pretty cool. Looking forward to it. And yeah, thanks for watching everybody. See you all in the next one. Let me know down below what you think about this. Bye bye.